Hello students, our today's topic is assessment, computation, collection, payment and recovery of tax. Assessment means determination of tax liability and recovery of tax as per the provisions of Income Tax Act 1961. This is very important topic. Assessment का मतलब है टैक्स लायबिलिटी असेसी की डिटरमिन करना और असेसी से टैक्स रिकवर करना एज पर द प्रोविजंस ऑफ इनकम टैक्स एक्ट 1961। आपको पता है इनकम टैक्स एक डायरेक्ट एनुअल टैक्स है। असेसी को अपनी इनकम के ऊपर टैक्स पे करना है। वो टैक्स कैसे पे होता है, कब पे होता है, उसकी रिटर्न्स कब फाइल होती हैं, कैसे फाइल होती हैं, कैसी कैसी किन किन तरह की असेसमेंट्स हैं, वो हम सारा डिटेल्ड प्रोविजंस इस स्लाइड्स के अंदर करेंगे। स्पेसिफिकली मैंने ये पीपीटी जो बनाई है, दिस इज टू क्लियर द टोटल प्रोसीजर ऑफ इनकम टैक्स। अदरवाइज काफी जगह स्टूडेंट्स को प्रॉब्लम आती है कि हमें ये नहीं समझ आता कि टैक्स कब पे करना है, रिटर्न्स कब फाइल करनी है, इनकम टैक्स का रेट कौन सा लेवी होगा इनकम के ऊपर, कौन कौन सी इनकम्स हैं, असेसी कौन है। तो मैंने एक शॉर्ट पीपीटी बना के अप्रॉक्सीमेटली सारी इनकम टैक्स के प्रोसीजर को एक्सप्लेन किया है। What are the steps? Procedure क्या है computation of total income and recovery of tax में? The first step is to determine the residential status of the assessee. Because the income tax is levied as per the residential status of the assessee. An assessee can be resident or a non-resident. The incidence of tax depends upon his or her or its residential status. The residential status is specified in section 6 of Income Tax Act 1961. After determining the residential status, we classify the income of the assessee, and there are 5 important heads in which the income of the assessee is divided. That is income from salary, income from house property, income from business or profession, income from capital gain, and income from other sources. Also, we exclude the exempted incomes like agricultural income. After classifying the incomes under the 5 heads, we sum up all the incomes, and the net results will be gross total income, shortly GTI. Out of GTI, we deduct the deductions which are allowed as per chapter 6A section 80CCC to 80U according to the conditions, if those conditions are fulfilled by the assessee. After calculating total income, we compute the income tax as per the rates specified in the relevant Finance Act, which is known as budget. Then assessee pay the tax. There are various modes of recovery and payment of tax. Lastly, we file the income tax returns as per the provisions of Income Tax Act. So these are briefly the steps in the computation of total income and recovery of tax. Now, one by one. What is computation of total income? As you know, income tax is a direct annual tax which is levied on the assessee's total income at the rates which are specified in the Finance Act. What is Finance Act? Budget. Annual union budget. The total income is to be computed as per the provisions of Income Tax Act 1961. The detailed provisions regarding computation are contained in Income Tax Act supported by income tax rules. Now, the residential status. What do you mean by residential status? You know, the residential status of an assessee is divided into 2 categories. One is resident and second is non-resident. Resident is further divided into 2 parts, resident and ordinarily resident. Resident but not ordinarily resident. Shortly, we can say it as OR, ordinarily resident, NOR, not ordinarily resident, and NR, non-resident. The incidence of tax depends upon the residential status of the assessee. For example, the residential status is specified in section 6 of Income Tax Act. For determining the residential status, certain conditions are prescribed under Section 6. For example, in case of an individual, the individual has to satisfy one basic condition and two additional conditions to become an ordinarily resident. Those conditions are: stay in India for at least 182 days in the relevant previous year, or stay in India for 60 days in the relevant previous year plus at least 365 days in 4 years preceding the relevant previous year. Out of these two conditions, one condition has to be satisfied. These are known as basic condition. And additional conditions are: out of 10 years preceding the relevant previous year, if the individual satisfy any one basic condition for 2 years, and individuals stay for at least 730 days in 7 years preceding the relevant previous year. So if one basic condition and both additional conditions are satisfied, an assessee will be regarded, individual will be regarded as ordinarily resident. And if one basic condition and one additional condition, or one basic condition and none additional condition is satisfied, the assessee individual will be regarded as not ordinarily resident. And if none of the basic condition, not 182, neither 182 nor 60 days plus 365 days has been satisfied, he will or she will be regarded as non-resident. Similarly, there are certain conditions prescribed for determining the residential status of Hindu undivided family, AOP, BOI, companies, etc. So first we determine the residential status. Now, incidence of tax. If a person is ordinary resident, he or she or it is liable to pay the tax on Indian income, that is income accrue or arise in India or received in India, as well as foreign income, that is income accrue or arise in India, outside India, or received outside India. But if a person is not ordinary resident, NOR, he or she is liable to pay the tax on Indian incomes only, not foreign incomes. Similarly, in case of non-resident, they are liable to pay the tax only on Indian incomes, not foreign incomes. However, there is one exception in case of NOR, not ordinary resident. If NOR having any business income abroad, which is received outside India, but business is being controlled from India or profession is set up in India, then he or she is liable to pay the tax in India. So the income tax depends upon the residential status, and incidence of tax also depends upon the residential status of the assessee. Citizenship is not material. Now we have 5 heads of income as per section 14: income from salary, income from house property, income from business and gains of profit and gains of business and profession, income from capital gains, and income from other sources. So these are the 5 important heads in which whole of the income of the assessee is divided. The sum total of 5 heads is known as gross total income. Shortly, it is known as GTI. Salary income, house property income, business and profession income, capital gains, and other sources. Sum total of all the 5 heads is known as GTI. Out of GTI, if we deduct the deductions which are specified in Chapter 6A, Section 80CCC to 80U, that I have already explained in my separate videos. Each and every deduction I have explained. 80CCC to 80U, Chapter 6A, then it will be known as total income. So GTI less deductions known as total income. What are the deductions? Government income tax authorities has given certain deductions specifically under the Act. Those deductions are either to promote the savings of the individual, or to meet the personal expenditure of the assessee, or such deductions are socially desirable, that is for the benefit of the society or for the future growth or expansion of the economy of the country. So certain deductions are for promoting savings, for meeting personal expenditure, for social benefit, for physically disabled person, and for the economic development of. Like 80C, it is for savings up to the maximum of 1,50,000. 80CCF, it is investment in the long-term infrastructural bonds up to the maximum of 20,000, but this deduction has been omitted. This was allowed only for the assessment year 2011-12 and 12-13. 80CCG, this is deduction in respect in respect of the investment by the assessee in the listed equity share notified by the government up to the maximum of 25,000. 80DD, it is expenditure by the assessee on the medical treatment of physically handicapped family members up to the maximum of 75,000, but in case of severe disability it is 1,25,000. 80DDB, it is treatment of the notified disease by the assessee for self or his dependent family members up to the maximum 40,000, but in case of senior and super senior citizen it is 60,000 and 80,000 respectively. 80U, if the assessee himself or herself is a physically handicapped assessee, 75,000, but in case of severe disability it is 1,25,000. 80CCC, if the individual contribute to the pension fund of LIC or other notified insurance company, he or she can claim the deduction up to a maximum of rupees 1,50,000. Similarly, CCD, very important deduction, contribution to NPS, National Pension Fund, up to the maximum of 10% of the salary for own contribution and 10% of the salary for employer's contribution, plus additional deduction under section 80 CCD 1B for an amount of 50,000 as contribution, own contribution towards NPS. 80 CCE, it puts a restriction on 80C plus CCC plus CCD up to the maximum of rupees 1,50,000 plus 50,000 additional deduction for own contribution to NPS under section 80 CCD 1B that I have already explained in my separate videos. 80E, repayment of education loan taken for self or dependent family members. Actual interest is eligible for deduction under section 80E. 80GG, this is if the assessee pays a house rent and not receiving HRA. Least of the following is the amount of deduction: 5,000 per month or 25% of the adjusted GTI, rent paid minus 10% of adjusted. 80G, donation. Certain donations are 100% eligible for deduction and certain donation are 50% eligible for deduction. I have already explained these deduction in detail in my last video. 80QQB, this is deduction regarding royalty to the authors of the books up to the maximum of 3 lakh. 80 RRB, royalty income from the patents up to the maximum of 3 lakh. 80D, if the assessee pay insurance premium towards health insurance Mediclaim, he or she can claim a deduction of 25,000, but in case of senior citizen the amount of deduction will be 30,000. Now this has been increased to 50,000 in the next financial year, plus additional deduction 25,000 or 30,000 as the case may be for the parents, dependent parents. 5,000 for preventive health checkup, which is included in 25,000 or 30,000 as the case. TTA, if the assessee receive any interest on the saving bank account, he or she can claim a deduction up to the maximum of 10,000. 80E, it is repetition, already we have discussed it. Standard deduction, this is very important step of the government to give the relief to the salaried employees. A standard deduction out of salary income for an amount of 50,000 to government or non-government employees is allowed. But after the death of the employee, if the legal representatives or the legal heirs of deceased employee receives any family pension, a deduction of 1/3 of the family pension or 15,000 per annum, whichever is less, is allowed as a deduction. After calculating the total income, we calculate the tax as per the budget rates specified in the Finance Act or budget. Out of the tax, we deduct rebate under section 87A, then we apply the surcharge, then we add up the education, health and education cess, then we add up the interest, penalty interest under section 234A, B, C if any, then we give the relief under section 89, and lastly we deduct TDS or advance tax already paid by the assessee in the relevant financial year to calculate the tax payable or to calculate the amount of refund. These are the tax rates for the financial year 2019-20. I am not explaining for the 2021. I am explaining the tax rate for the financial year 2019-20. 0 to 2,50,000 it is nil. 2,50,000 to 5 lakh it is 5%. 5 lakh to 10 lakh it is 20%, and above 10 lakh it is 30%. These tax rates in detail I have already discussed in my videos. For senior citizens 60 years or more of age, 0 to 3 lakh nil, 3 lakh to 5 lakh it is 5%, 5 lakh to 10 lakh it is 20%, and above 10 lakh it is 30%. This already I have explained in my previous video. For super senior citizen 80 years or more of age, 0 to 5 lakh it is nil, 5 lakh to 10 lakh it is 20%, above 10 lakh it is 30%. These are three rates which are known as special rates. The previous rates slabs are not applicable on these types of income. These types of incomes are subject to flat rate of tax. Long-term capital gain 20%, short-term capital gain subject to security transaction tax 15%, casual income it is 30%. Rebate. Under section 87A, this rebate is available only to an individual and those individual having total income after deduction not exceeding 5 lakh. The rebate amount is actual tax calculated or 12,500, whichever is less. That means the assessee having individual having total income up to 5 lakh his or her tax will be automatically zero, because 12,500 is the tax on 5 lakh and that will be the amount of rebate under section 87A. Surcharge. There are different slabs of surcharge for individual. This surcharge is levied on the total tax calculated. 10% of the total tax calculated if the total income of the assessee exceeds 50 lakh but not exceeding 1 crore. 15% surcharge will be applicable if the total income exceeds 1 crore but does not exceed 2 crores. 25% of the total tax calculated if the total income exceeds 2 crore but does not exceed 5 crore. 37% of the total tax calculated if the total income exceeds 5 crores. Similarly, surcharge rates are specified for companies, AOP, HUF, firms, etc. Health and education cess 4% of the total tax. In all cases, it has to be paid by the assessee. There are four modes of payment of tax. One is TDS, that I have already explained in my previous lectures. A complete video I have uploaded in the YouTube channel TDS, regarding TDS, advanced tax, self-assessed tax and demand tax. What is TDS? TDS is the responsibility of the payer deductor to deduct tax at source while making the payment to the payee and deposit to the exchequer of government, furnish the TDS returns quarterly and also furnish the TDS certificate to the assessee under form number 16, 16A or 16AA, as the case may be. This is the chart showing the TDS rates that I have already explained in my previous videos. This is a threshold limit and these are the rates. These are the incomes out of which it is the responsibility of the deductor to deduct tax at source and deposit to the government. Advanced tax. If the tax liability of a person is more than 10,000, such person is liable to pay the tax in the same financial year in the form of advanced tax. This is a very big confusion. The tax has to be paid in the same year and the return is to be filed in the next year, known as assessment year. But advanced tax is payable only if the amount of tax is more than 10,000. No requirement of paying the tax, advanced tax, by the senior citizen unless they have an income under the head business and profession. So for firms, HUF, individual, AOP or company, etc., such provisions are applicable. Right? If the amount of tax is less than 10,000, there is no requirement of paying the advanced tax. And such advanced tax has to be paid by downloading the challan number 280 online or offline, as the case may be. जैसे चाहते हैं वैसे दे सकते हैं. Or advanced tax has to be deposited in the installments. Such installments are like on or before 15th June of the financial year, 15% of the advanced tax has to be paid. On or before 15th September, 30% more, that is 45% advanced tax has to be paid. On or before 15th December, 30% more advanced tax has to be paid, that is 75% advanced tax has to be paid. And on or before 15th March, 100% advanced tax has to be paid, that is 25% more advanced tax has to be paid. What is self-assessed tax? Now, when assessee is required to file the income tax return in the assessment year, next year, returns are to be filed in the next year. Before filing the income tax return, it is the responsibility and duty of the assessee to compute his tax liability, actual tax liability, deduct TDS or advance tax if any already paid in the previous year. If any tax remains pending payable, assessee has to pay the tax before filing the income tax return, online or offline. Before filing the income tax return, it is the responsibility of the assessee to determine his balance tax payable and deposit to the government before filing the income tax return. इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न तब तक नहीं फाइल करनी जब तक आप अपना डिफरेंशियल टैक्स डिपॉजिट नहीं कराते, अदरवाइज योर रिटर्न विल बी रिगार्डेड एज डिफेक्टिव रिटर्न. दिस इज नोन एज सेल्फ असेस्ड टैक्स. Tax payable on demand. Now the last mode of payment of tax is payable on demand. What is tax payable on demand? When assessee files the income tax return, his or her return is verified by the authorities, tax authorities, and if there is any differential tax, like certain deductions are wrongly claimed by the assessee, some differential tax rates are wrongly levied by the assessee, computation mistakes are there. So differential tax will be communicated by the tax authorities to the assessee, and the authorities give a time period of 30 days to the assessee to deposit the same to the government. This is known as demand. There is one very important mode known as e-payment, e-mode. Now you can deposit your tax by logging to the www.incometaxindia.gov.in, and you can download the form 280 for payment of advance tax or self-assessed tax, or 281 for the deposit of TDS online. Returns. Income tax returns are to be filed in the next year. For example, for the financial year 2019-20, the income tax return is to be filed in the year 2020-21, known as assessment year. Every company, every firm, whether having income or loss, they have to file the income tax return compulsorily under section 139, voluntary filing of return. And every other person, if they have total income, after deduction more than the basic exemption, that is 250, 2,50,000 or 3 lakh or 5 lakh as the case may be, they have to file the income tax returns, otherwise penalty has to be. There is mode of payment filing the return is e-mode. www.indiaincometaxefiling.gov.in is the site for filing the income tax return. Online filing is compulsory. You can put physical signature or digital signature. Your PAN and your Aadhaar is linked, and you have to file the online returns by logging to the website www.indiaincometaxefiling.gov.in. These are different forms prescribed by the income tax authorities, Income Tax Act, for filing the returns. For example, in case of individual having salary income, ITR 1, individual and HUF having salary, house property, capital gain or other sources income, ITR 2, for firms AOP, ITR 5, for companies ITR 6, and so on. Due date for companies, it is 30th September of the assessment year. For persons other than companies whose accounts are required to be tax audited, 30th September. For working partners of a firm whose accounts are required to be audited, 30th September. And for other assessees, it is 31st July unless the date is extended by the government. Permanent account number, this is a compulsory 10-digit alphanumeric number. This has to be obtained by each and every assessee, and this number has to be quoted by the assessee on every income tax returns, TDS challans, advance tax challans, self-assessed challans, or any correspondence of the assessee with the income tax authorities. This is an identity of the assessee. If assessee do not file the returns by the due date, a penalty of 5,000 will be levied up to 31st December, and after that it will be 10,000. Penalty will be 10,000. Return of loss. In case assessee has a loss and assessee wants to carry forward and set off such loss in the subsequent years, return of loss is also compulsory. Otherwise, loss under the head business and profession and capital gain cannot be carried forward and set off subsequently. No benefit of set off and carry forward of losses will be available unless you furnish return of loss. There are various types of returns like belated return. What is belated return? Belated return means if assessee do not file the return by the due date, he or she or it can file the return after the due date and along with the final penalty, but up to the maximum of end of the relevant assessment year. For example, for 1920 previous year, he or she or it can file a return up to 31st March 2021. Revised return means अगर कोई डिफेक्ट है रिटर्न के अंदर, he or she or it can file a revised return under section 139(5), but the original return should be filed in time. Only those returns which are filed in time can be revised. Defective return, if any fault error is found by the income tax authorities, they intimate the assessee and give a time period of 15 days to rectify the return. It is known as defective. Now, last topic is types of assessment. First is self-assessment, section 140A. What is self-assessment? It is very simple. मैंने अभी आपको बताया था जब हम अपने इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न फाइल करते हैं असेसमेंट ईयर में, तो हम अपनी असेसमेंट खुद करते हैं. अथॉरिटीज आके हमारी रिटर्न फाइल नहीं करेंगी. हमें अपनी टैक्स कैलकुलेशंस खुद करनी है, सारे पांचों हेड्स का सम टोटल करना है, उसमें से डिडक्शंस माइनस करनी है, टैक्स के रेट्स अप्लाई करने हैं, उसमें से टीडीएस और एडवांस टैक्स माइनस करना है, अगर कोई डिफरेंशियल टैक्स है वो खुद ही पे करना है, ऑनलाइन और ऑफलाइन मोड जो भी है, और अपनी रिटर्न टाइमली फाइल करनी है. दिस इज नोन एज सेल्फ असेसमेंट, असेसमेंट बाय द असेसी हिमसेल्फ, हरसेल्फ. समरी असेसमेंट, जब आपकी रिटर्न्स चली जाती हैं तो बिना आपको कोई इंफॉर्मेशन एक्सप्लेनेशन कॉल किए आपके रिटर्न के बेसिस पर आपकी रिटर्न को एक्सेप्ट कर लिया जाता है और आपको इंटीमेट दिया जाता है और एक कंपैरेटिव स्टेटमेंट दे देते हैं कि आपकी ये वाली रिटर्न हमने एक्सेप्ट कर ली, उसमें कोई अर्थमेटिक एरर है, कोई गलत क्लेम लिया हुआ है, वो सब सेट ऑफ एडजस्ट करने के बाद. अगर कोई असेसमेंट एस्केप हो जाती है, मतलब कोई इनकम एस्केप हो जाती है असेसमेंट से, तो आपको रीअसेसमेंट का नोटिस अंडर सेक्शन 147 एंड 148 फर्निश हो जाएगा और आपको एक अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग हर्ड दिया जाएगा. उसके अकॉर्डिंगली आपको अपनी रिवाइज रिटर्न फाइल करनी है. लेकिन अगर एसएससी इसके अगेंस्ट कोई अपील करना चाहता है तो उसके पास अपील करने का टाइम भी एक्ट के अंदर प्रेजेंट किया हुआ है. स्क्रूटनी असेसमेंट, अगर आपने वॉलंटरली अपनी इनकम्स को बचाने की कोशिश की, अपने एक्सपेंसेस को अननेसेसरली इन्फ्लेट करके शो करने की कोशिश की, गलत डिडक्शंस एग्जम्पशंस अवेल की, तो आपके ऊपर इंक्वायरी, आपसे इंफॉर्मेशन एक्सप्लेनेशन, आपसे बुक्स डॉक्यूमेंट्स मांगे जाएंगे और अकॉर्डिंगली आपका केस स्क्रूटनी में लग जाएगा और आपको पर्सनल हियरिंग के लिए भी बुला सकती है अथॉरिटी और आपको अकॉर्डिंगली जो भी टैक्स डिटरमिन करेगी, पेनल्टी लगाएगी, वो एसएससी को पे करनी पड़ेगी. मैनुअल स्क्रूटनी भी होती है और कंपल्सरी स्क्रूटनी भी होती है. कंपल्सरी स्क्रूटनी जब बहुत बड़ी अमाउंट इन्वॉल्व है तब होती है कंपल्सरी स्क्रूटनी. लास्ट हमारी होती है बेस्ट जजमेंट असेसमेंट. अगर कोई असेसी कोऑपरेट नहीं करता अथॉरिटीज के साथ, रिपीटेडली नोटिस आ रहे हैं और वो उनकी एडहेरेंस नहीं करता, या अगर अथॉरिटीज को लगता है कि आपकी अकाउंट्स सारे डिससेटिस्फाइड है आपके अकाउंट से, इंफॉर्मेशन एक्सप्लेनेशन से, और आप कोई रेगुलर मेथड ऑफ अकाउंटिंग नहीं फॉलो कर रहे, तो अथॉरिटीज अपनी जजमेंट के अकॉर्डिंगली आपकी टैक्स की कैलकुलेशन करेंगे और आपको वो पे करना पड़ेगा. तो अगर असेसी कोऑपरेट नहीं करता, जब उसके अकाउंट्स सारे डिससेटिस्फाइड है टू द एज पर द ओपिनियन ऑफ इनकम टैक्स अथॉरिटीज, तो अथॉरिटीज के पास बेस्ट जजमेंट असेसमेंट की प्रोविजन भी है और अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर ओन जजमेंट दे विल लेवी द टैक्स, कंप्यूट द टैक्स एंड असेसी हैज टू पे द टैक्स. लेकिन उसे अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग हर्ड देने के बाद. थैंक यू स्टूडेंट्स. ये हमारी एक पूरा प्रोसीजर मैंने ट्राई किया कि आपको इनकम टैक्स का एक पूरा प्रोसीजर एक्सप्लेन कर दूं. नेक्स्ट वीडियोस के अंदर हम आगे और डिटेल्ड प्रोविजंस को डिस्कस करेंगे. थैंक यू. हैव अ नाइस डे.